Hello everyone, welcome to BYJU'S IAS. Today we are going to discuss a very important ingredient which is left as far as the preparation of our exam is concerned, that is the strategy for Prelims 2021. See, in the last almost 3 weeks time, we have studied about everything important from the perspective of this exam. We went through the sessions on polity, international relations, environment, science, reports and indices, economics and maps, etc. But now, how do we best utilize the next 15 days that are available to us? So basically, in this particular session, what we are going to talk about is how we go about these 15 days. Along with that, how do we go about the D-Day? What do we do on October 10th? So everything in the next 1 hour I shall be dealing and I shall be telling you about. So let us start this particular session without wasting any time. Let's see. I've started with a quotation of Theodore Roosevelt, who was the President of United States of America. See, he says, believe you can and you are halfway there. Now, as you all can understand, what I'm trying to say here is that the first biggest hurdle in the mind was that whether you prepare for this exam or not. That thing you have already crossed. You have prepared, you have done so much preparation right now and you have come to this particular stage. So, in my opinion, trust me, half of the battle you have already won. You have done the half of the battle thing. This is done. There is no doubt about that. You have already won half of the battle. Now the rest is left. So here we have to now think about what approach we need to adopt which helps us to clear this particular exam. So for the next 15 days, what sort of approach that would be, I'm going to show you now. See, as you can see, 4 major things we are going to deal in this particular session. Number 1, we'll talk about what exactly the prelims exam expects from us. Number 2, we will discuss about the approach. We will look into the planning, what all is required as far as this exam is concerned. Third, as you can see, the don'ts, we shall enter into what you shouldn't do in the next 15 days. See, this is one thing that I always say, that in this exam, what to do, what not to do, they both are equally important. Just as you know what to study and what not to study is equally important. And last part would be, how do we go about this D-Day? What all things are expected from us on this particular day, 10th of October. So these are the 4 major ingredients about which we are going to talk in this particular session. Now, see, though we'll be talking about this session in the next 1 hour, but then you can always comment in the comment box even during the session and after the session if you have any query, and we will try to answer all those queries of yours. Anything that comes to your mind, anything and everything can be asked by you in the comment box. So let's begin with the first, that's your about this exam. See, many of you, you would be giving this particular exam maybe for the first time. Many of you would have given this exam maybe earlier but may not have crossed this particular hurdle. For every one of you who have never ever cleared prelims, please remember, at this moment, this is the toughest part of this entire UPSC exam. See, in this exam, as you can see, we have put this big question mark at this point of time. This exam, that is the prelims, they test us on these 2 parameters. First, of course, the analytical test. And number 2, the stress handling ability. So please understand, this exam is never about absolute knowledge only. There is no doubt about the fact that, of course, you require knowledge. I'm not doubting that particular thing. Absolutely, you require knowledge. But then only absolute knowledge will not help you. Here, you also need, or this exam basically tests your analytical skills too. It tests your presence of mind and, of course, the stress handling ability. When you are in the examination hall, you need to be very, very alert. You need to be very active. You should be knowing that what can come, what cannot come, how do we operate during this whole 2-hour session, and of course the CSAT. So 4 hours on that day, how do we remain in such a position that we can clear the exam? So 2 words here I am telling you. Number 1, try to remain as calm as possible. Trust me, next 15 days, there will all the time be butterflies in your stomach. And it would be at its highest level just before prelims. 9:30, paper 1 is going to start. You are sitting in the examination hall at 9 a.m. First thing that goes in the mind at that moment is you would have a natural feeling that you don't know anything. You have started forgetting a lot of things. It happens. It happens with everyone. Don't worry about this. Even in the next 15 days, there will be lots of time when you will question yourself. You will question the decision that why were you preparing for this particular exam. So throughout all this time, one thing, as I said, remain calm. Don't worry. Number 2, please understand this particular word and feel this. Remain confident throughout the next 15 days. Please, if you are confident, and this I can tell you based on my own experience, that if people are confident, they will be able to solve 2 or 3 questions more rather than missing out on them. If you are underconfident or less confident during the exam, sometimes you make some silly mistakes. But if you are confident, if you are not feeling anxious, you will maintain calm. There is no reason that you cannot clear this exam. But of course, some of you will say that, sir, it's not that easy. We will feel anxiety. I know, absolutely. You have given 1 year of yours. Some of you may have given more than that. Absolutely. You have invested. That's why you are feeling anxious at this point of time. Whenever you feel anxious, a simple suggestion, take a deep breath and relax. Don't overburden yourself with a plethora of knowledge at this point of time. You need to trust that you have already read enough at this point of time. Whatever you have studied, you have read enough. You know enough. And now the only thing that you have to do is that whatever you studied, you keep on doing the revision of that. You keep on trying to recall those things. See, at the end of the day, prelims is an exam of what? It is an exam of recall. All the 4 options are in front of you. You don't have to search something. You have to look at those 4 options, and based on those 4 options, you have to decide which one is correct, of course. So here, in the next 15 days, what we can always try to achieve is that we can think more in less. Whatever we have studied is more than sufficient. At times, you can even remember, ignorance is bliss. So for the next 15 days, revise the basics, some key areas which you think will give you the maximum score. Remember, I have seen lots of people who have had potential, but then they would create so much pressure on themselves. They would put themselves under so much pressure. They were not able to handle stress, that on the day they would make some very silly mistakes. 9 out of 10 times, things that they would have answered on that particular day, they make mistakes. Simple mistakes. Question was asking which of the options were incorrect. The student did not see the incorrect word, went for the correct option. The question had given some clue, but the student missed out on that particular clue. And I'll show you that a particular example I'll be giving you in this particular session. So what I'm trying to say is that on that particular day, you have to remember that this particular exam is going to test you analytically, At the same time, it is also going to be a check of your stress handling capacity. Number 2. So the first part of this particular lecture was that how do we understand this exam. Second part is what will be the approach for the last 15 days. See, 3 words I have given. One is plan, another is prioritize, and third is revise. See, you will have to make a planning that, okay, fine enough, today is 25th of September, next 14 days, next 15 days, what are the themes, what are the areas that you will like to focus. So, for the first next 15 days, decide your approach. How do you maximize your score? For that, you need to have a schedule. I know many of you would be following a schedule. So here, this approach will tell you that what are you going to prioritize, and I'll show you within a minute. I'll be showing you which all areas you can prioritize, which all areas you can leave or ignore for the next 15 days. All the time, whether the areas are current or the static, keep on revising them. See, next 15 days, we keep on revising the things that we have studied in the last 1 year. So better utilization of this 15 days, let us break it into 2 batches or 2 weeks. Very simple, and then we are done. So what we have done is we have divided it into 2 weeks. First week and the second week. This way, it will become much more systematic for us, and we will be able to maximize our score. And of course, once you keep on doing the things that you had decided, so for example, let's say today is Saturday, and on Sunday, tomorrow, maybe some of you would have thought that, okay, tomorrow what I am going to do is that I'll get up at 6 till 9, I'm going to revise some of the very important concepts of, let's say, polity. Maybe somebody else would have thought I'll go ahead and revise history. Whatever that is the case, if you do this properly, what it will give is, it will give you a sense of accomplishment. And of course, once you accomplish something, it automatically boosts your confidence. So your confidence would be sky high. And again, I'll keep on repeating this word, I'll keep on harping on this word throughout this session. If you are confident, trust me, even the questions that you thought you will not be able to answer, some of those questions also you will be able to answer. So we have to think about this. So let us start with the first week. What all do we do in the first week? See here. Number 1, prioritize your subject. And here, this point you will have to decide. You need to see which area do you lack. So let's say, some of you may be thinking that, okay, I have not studied economy that properly, or I haven't looked into the current affairs related to economy. So for you, what is your priority at this moment? Go and look into those areas of economy which you might have left. Or some of you feel that, okay, in polity, I have done everything, but maybe one last time if I do fundamental rights, it will be better for me. So remember, this first point, prioritizing your subject, it totally depends on you. It depends on one area, that is, if you feel you lack something, or if you feel that a particular area is very, very important. If a particular area is very important in your thinking, go ahead, study that. Number 2, revise the subjects. See, I have brought something. For example, I know a lot of you, while you were preparing, you would have made some notes. For example, let's say some of you would be in a habit of making notes in, let's say, pages. So for the last few days you would have kept, okay, I'll be revising this, I'll revise this, I'll again look at this time and again. Or some of you would have maintained this for a whole year, something like this. You would have maintained all the notes here. So for every page, space, defense, whatever your notes are, you knew this, you were revising or you were preparing for this for the last 1 year. So you knew what you are going to do in last 15 days. So you would have made some notes. So trust those notes, revise those notes. And of course, when you are revising the subjects also, there will always be a priority. That is, let's say, medieval history. Last year, 2 questions came. Usually 1 to 2 questions come. Do we have time for the 15 days? Maybe not. Leave that. But then, do focus on, let's say, modern. So we will prioritize subjects while we are doing the revision also. So this we have to understand. Third, you would have given lots of tests. I know. Many of you in the last 3-4 months would have given the test series. You would have joined some test series. You would have given those tests. And when you would have given those tests, after every test, you would have marked that, okay, this question was really good. I would like to see it again. So let's say this is a test. And in this question number 1, 50, 100, let's say 25, 35, say 39. These questions were marked. You can always go into them, revise those questions because you felt that they were important. These are certain concepts that you should be knowing. Absolutely do them. No doubt about that. Go into them. Look into them. Revise those questions because you have done these tests. You have given those tests. You know that how good you were in certain areas or how or where you were lacking. So definitely go ahead and revise those tests. Fourth, see, meditation for 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it depends on you. Trust me, I know a lot of you would be following cricket. You know, there was a former batsman of Australia and his name was Matthew Hedden. So what he used to do is, he would, before the match, would come on the pitch and would visualize the whole thing. He would do visualization. Okay, today when he'll come to bat, he will hit the shots like this. This particular bowler will do this, he will do that. He would visualize everything. Similar thing, for 5-10 minutes, you can cut yourself off from everything. No connection, nothing for 5-10 minutes or 15-20 minutes. It depends on you. You will cut off yourself. You will try to visualize good things that is going to happen to you on that particular day. For example, I would a lot of times think that, okay, question paper will come in my hands. First 10 minutes, I'll get 8-10 very easy questions. Then I'll see that, okay, there were some more easy questions. So I would visualize scenes. Oh, this time I'll answer 70 correct, maybe only 20 incorrect, or 65 correct, maybe only 15 incorrect. So I would always try to put myself in a happy situation. Because when you are happy, when you are calm, when you are confident, automatically your marks go up. So trust me, it works. So in the first week, keep on doing this thing. So next 7 days, this is something that till 2nd of October, you can do this particular thing. Now, let me give you some idea of some of the themes which you can revise in the next few days. And of course, this is again something that I feel, if you think, no, you are good in certain area, you can leave them. If you think, no, you need to focus on these areas, great. So for example, see here, these are the static subjects. History, terminology is there. For example, polity, bodies can be there. In polity, if I ask you, everybody knows, what are the important chapters? Preamble. And I think for revising preamble, the keywords, it will, of course, we have to revise everything in one day, subject-wise. So preamble may take, let's say, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Of course, every year the question comes from directive principles of state policy. Every year the question comes from fundamental duty. Question comes from, let's say, chapters like parliament or precedent, or even the bodies, governors, emergency provisions, constitutional or extra constitutional bodies, anti-defection. These are the topics which are the most important topics. Now, if you feel, no, I know DPSP very nicely, I don't have to go into that chapter, don't go. But if you feel, no, I need to remember all the FD ones, I need to look into all the schedules once, I need to look into what all our constitution has borrowed from different sources, why not? One last, I would say, revisiting of those pages. Because again, Remember, this exam is an exam of recall. On that day, you just have to see the options and think, did you see that particular thing ever or not? If you have seen, you will get the correct answer. Similarly, if I talk about in economy, because we'll talk about economy in the next page, in the current affairs, for example, you will see a lot of news would have come. So monetary policy, fiscal policy, GDP, BOP, something like that will come. Similarly, if I say, for example, history, terminology, a lot of times the questions keep on coming. They ask you about a particular term. If somebody wants to revise, and if you are going to revise ancient, what would be your suggestion, or what would be my suggestion? Go ahead and do Indus Valley Civilization. Do remember or revise Jainism, Buddhism. Similarly, if you are doing modern, I would suggest everyone to one fine glance of chronology. Look at all the events. Of course, you can do the chronology through the chapter of Governor Generals also, no doubt about that. So through that you revise them. Look into art and culture. Last year 5 questions came from this. So why not? I should definitely, if I want, architecture, most important topic. Or if you think I need to look into the smaller topics, go ahead, look into dance, painting, music. The whole idea is, again I am telling you, when it comes to the static subjects, you know what you have done in the last 1 year, 1.5 years. Based on that, you can take a call that what you want to study now. For example, environment. A lot of times we need to look into the international and national organizations here. We need to look into the acts related to environment. Questions keep on coming from there. Ramsar sites, wetlands, tiger reserves, or I would say FSI reports, such things come. Many times the flora, fauna, and whether a particular animal is vulnerable or endangered, this keeps on coming. In the last year in current affairs, you would have encountered so many such information. So definitely go ahead and look into that. And finally, geography. When we are doing geography, remember, in geography also there is areas like, let's say if you think that in Indian geography, I have not done, let's say, the areas of transport, very small chapter, study that. Minerals, industries, or agriculture, so many questions keep on coming from this particular chapter every year. So what I am saying is very clearly that in the static subjects, prioritize the important areas. Similarly, in the subjects where current affairs come, for example, science and tech, space, biotech, at times even defense, whatever you would have studied in the last 1 year in the newspaper, in the magazines, trust them. As I have already said about environment, you would have seen many animals being branded or being designated as endangered or vulnerable. You can think about that. We already talked about the economics, the issues in news. IR, usually 3-4 questions come from this. Many times this would be from organizations. And last, mapping. Sometimes very static, like for example, 1 year there was a question that if you travel from Kohima to Kottayam, how many minimum number of states you need to pass. Now that's a very static thing. But another year there was one question that Catalonia, for example, this was in news in that year, it belonged to which particular region? Again it is in news, it belongs to Spain, the Barcelona area. So this is the thing that you have to remember, that when it comes to current affairs, you will have to do this. See, in this exam, you have already studied everything. This is crystal clear. Keep on telling yourself this particular thing. Keep on reminding yourself that you have studied everything. And one big cardinal mistake that you should definitely avoid is, don't start anything new. You can see any new materials, big no. 2 reasons why you will waste your time, and of course once you have wasted your time, there will be a dip in confidence. See, we all have gone through this stage. What happens is, in the last few days, you have friends Somebody would call you and tell you that have you gone through that particular material that has recently come in the market? And you would say no. And they will say it's a really good material, do go, everybody is saying that questions come from that. Do not bother for these things. Trust me, whatever you know, it is enough. And now the question is only about efficiency. Try to utilize your knowledge in a maximum manner. So efficiency becomes key. No new material should be chosen at this point of time. Absolutely not. Don't listen to anyone. See, again, based on my own experience, last 1 month, WhatsApp and all the social medias, we go away from them. Try to keep ourselves calm. Don't listen to outside noise. People will speak. There will be people, of course, some of them might be genuinely trying to help you, but maybe they don't help you in this manner. Because what has happened is they have disturbed your calmness here. So understand here, new material, if by mistake anybody has started, you started reading that with the objective that in 1 day or 2 days I'll complete this. And after 2 days you find that you have only done, let's say, 40% of that material. Suddenly you start questioning yourself, because first of all, you had made a very wrong, I would say, goal that was not achievable. But now you are questioning yourself that I was not able to do this. So number one, you wasted 1 day or 2 days of yours. And now, because you are questioning yourself, your confidence is getting questioned. It is coming down. And again and again. Remember, those who clear this exam, there is always huge amount of confidence in them. There's absolutely no doubt. I know, as I said earlier also, you are worried. You are worried because you have invested so much. But at the same time, you are also confident about the studies that you have done, the things that you have done. So, once again I'll repeat, keep calm, keep composed, have high confidence, nothing else. And here, for example, I'll tell you, if you're confident, many a times, you will see things which others might not see. For example, what happened is, I remember in 2019, in the question paper, 2 questions had come from ancient history and art and culture. And both the questions were one after another. Question number 7, question number 8 in one of the set. One question was, they had given 4 options and had asked which of the following is not an IVC site. And next question was on Ranyo Ashoka. And both the options or both the questions had Sohgora as one of the option. If your mind was alert, if your mind was calm, any person would have seen, okay, both the questions having one common option, and they could have deduced some answers from that. They could have seen that both the questions having Sohgora, even if you didn't know the particular question, you could have gone ahead and marked something, and might be that would have gone and become correct. Similarly, I remember, I think 2014, there was one question on Tibhaga revolt in peasant movements, one of the revolts. Now the name clearly and the way the options were marked, it clearly indicated that it was Tibhaga. Ti means 3 and Bhaga means division. And the way the question's option was that they were saying that the demand was from half, the collection of revenue or rent should become 1/3. So again, it all boils down to the fact that are you mentally there or not. Similarly, I think 2015 and 16, you all would have gone through the previous year question, you would have seen that there was one question on Lord Buddha which had been repeated, same word to word, exactly the same question was asked in 2015, same question was asked in 2016 also. Now again, if you would have gone through the previous year questions, if you knew about that, and if you were in the examination hall alert, you would have gone ahead and done that particular question correct here. So remember, don't make this mistake, don't commit this mistake. I know a lot of people in the last few days, they commit harakiri. That's the worst thing to do. And harakiri here is nothing more than having or going ahead with new materials at this point of time. Don't go for that. Let us now come to the Second week. In the first week, you have done everything. What do you do in the second week? Most important thing is relax. As you can see, all the best, don't do just chill. You need to chill. With chill, I am not saying that you go and party, but now trust your abilities. You have done enough. Bring your mind at peace, calm. And here, there are certain things that you need to inculcate now. That is from 3rd October till 10th of October. For the next 7 days, there are certain things that you should do almost every day. What is that? Number one, sync your daily routine with the exam day. Your body clock needs to be synced properly. For example, we all know on that particular day, our exams would be 9:30 to 11:30 and 2:30 to 4:30. You all would be knowing that on that particular day, you would get up at 6 a.m. Of course, because you have to get up at 6 a.m. that day, you want to give yourself proper rest. So maybe by 10:30 p.m. or maximum by 11 p.m. you would have slept. Do that every day. Next 1 week, I know you are thinking that I'll do so much of studies, but 7 hours sleep is not something that you cannot do. You can give yourself that much rest at this point of time. Tune yourself. Now 9:30 to 11:30, you know you will have a paper. So even at home, you should sit at one place, revise for 2 hours without getting disturbed. Have a stopwatch to tell yourself that, okay, for 2 hours you are going to sit uninterrupted. Similarly, from 2:30 to 4:30, think like that. You have to get into that routine, that what you are going to do. As I've already said, you also keep on doing the visualization. All the time you keep on doing the visualization. Good things, great things that are going to happen to you on that particular day. So first and foremost this. Second, as we are continuing to do meditation, 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it of course depends on you, but for those 20 minutes you are cut off from the world. You have got nothing else to do. You just want to give yourself that calmness, that inner peace that you require at this point of time. Of course, there is no doubt about the fact that the concepts which you were revising, the basic concepts, you will continue revising them. Basic concepts. So for example, let's say if you are going ahead with modern history, in very quick time, in a quick span of time, you would go ahead and do the whole Gandhian phase. Look into the important things of that particular phase. That you have to do. At times, you can just even glance the things very quickly. As I said, it's a recall exam. So, even if you glance, for example, I always say in the class, let's say tribal revolts. Last 3 years, 2 prelims questions have come from this chapter. One question was on Santhal uprising, another question was on Munda uprising. I think 2018 it was Santhal, 2020 it was Munda. Similarly, if you see chapters like education, 4 questions in the last 3 years. So what do? These chapters like press, education, revolts, you just glance at them. Who was the leader of the revolt, which area the revolt had happened, and that would give you an idea that on that particular day, if the test comes, if the question pertaining to that particular topic comes, you would be in a position to answer them. At this moment, do not ponder on the analytical part or the complete story. Just look at the facts and you can keep on doing the revision. Along with that, you can see again the tests and the marked questions. You have given so many tests in the last few days, you have marked those tests, you know which questions you want to go through and definitely go through them. Lastly, most of you, I am very confident, most of you would not need the CSAT. You are very confident in CSAT. I know you will easily get the required 1/3 marks. But if any one of you, if you think you are not that great at CSAT, this is my humble request to you people that please go through them. let's say formulas, if you have written it somewhere, some important concepts, whichever chapter you were not that good at, some of the questions of those, and even for the break, that is from 11:30 to 2:30, the 3-hour break that will be there, what are you going to revise at that point of time? You should be clear here. Why I am so much insisting on CSAT is because if you will see, in the last few years, 1 or 2 years, the CSAT papers, they have become lengthy. They have become lengthier. And trust me, I know people who have cleared the GS paper 1 easily, but haven't been able to clear the CSAT. And you all can imagine that particular feeling. And let me demonstrate that feeling here. You can see when CSAT is the reason you don't clear the prelims, this meme aptly fits over there. So again, don't ignore the CSAT area. This will be something that you should never ever ignore. If you are very confident, again, it's not for you. But any one of you who is slightly also weak in CSAT, do not let this thing be left at this moment of time. Now, 2 things are left. Number 1, before the exam and on the day of exam, what are you going to do? And this will take a chunk of our time. Number 1, the day before exam, or even 2 days, 3 days, see, these are certain things that you need to do. First of all, if your exam center is in the same town, go ahead and look at your center. Find out your center, which is your center. Again, based on my own experience, I can tell you, people, by mistake, they come to the wrong centers. I was giving my prelims, for example, in Delhi, and within one area, let's say in Rohini, in Shahadra, there will be many centers. Many government schools would be taken for those examination purposes. And in the morning at around 8:45, 9 a.m. a person comes and says, see, this is my center. And the guard will say, no, you have come to the wrong center. You need to go 4 kilometers from here, your center is. You won't imagine what sort of pressure that particular student would have come into the moment he would have known that he would have come or she would have come to a wrong center. Now the only thing that they have to do is run, look for another vehicle, think about some way that they can reach over there. And on the D-Day, you don't want any such mistake. So what you do is, you first of all look into your exam center. You go and find out where is your center, you know everything about that. As I said, if you don't live in the area where your center is in the same town, of course, many of you would be traveling to some other towns. So you can ask some of your relative, any friend, that please go to the examination hall. Please look at the center. Please see where my center is, that if I am going to live at your place, how would I commute to that particular place? All this thing you should definitely do. Number 2, see, pen, pencil, whatever is required, you should have them. Black pen, blue pen, whatever UPSC has mandated, you should definitely have them with you. There is simply no question about that. See, again, in the examination hall, many times when you hear somebody, do you have a pen, my pen has broken or my pen has leaked, neither you want to be in a situation nor do you want somebody else to be in that particular situation. This is the worst thing to happen. So keep everything that is required, even rubber, cutter, whatever is required, you need to have them. Keep them properly and go for the exam. Keep a spare. There is nothing, no harm in having extra of ball pen or something like that. Similarly, admit card. I always suggest that you should have 2 copies of the admit card or 3 copies of admit card, maybe one in the spare, that if by mistake you have done anything or you lost one also, by mistake, any such thing, any eventuality, you shouldn't be worried on that day, because you know you have one extra copy at that point of time. Of course, look into the ID card. Whichever ID card you have, you need to bring that to the examination hall. Do go ahead with that. Remember, on the admit card, whatever instructions are printed, whatever instructions, that you can bring this, you can bring that, you cannot bring this, you cannot bring that, follow them to the core. As you all know, many times it would be written that you cannot bring, let's say, the I would say your mobile phones, but people go over there and now they are worried, where do I keep this particular thing and all that. So you will have to think about this. Follow the instructions. Don't do something which is not written. Another very important thing, I'll tell you. See, now the exams are being conducted in the month of October. So that's another thing. But when the exams were being conducted in May, June, in those months when it would be so hot, it would be Delhi or North India would be, I would say, burning. What used to happen is that after the first paper, people would come out, and now for the next 3 hours, they just don't know where to go about, where to sit, what to eat, what not to eat. So when you are going to look at the exam center nearby, you can see, you can find out any place where you would like to relax for those duration. Usually that duration would not be 3 hours, it would come down to 2 hours, because by the time you come out, it will become 11:45, 11:50, and again you would be made to come inside the your center by, let's say, 2 p.m. So it would be around 2 hours only, but you should be knowing where you would like to spend those 2 hours. What would you like to eat? Absolutely. And here only one suggestion more I can give you. Last 7 days, focus on what do you eat, and absolutely focus on your health. See, many good students, sometimes because of health factors, they have not been able to give their 100%. Last few days, something has happened. Take utmost care of your health. Don't do anything which might in any way also bring down your health parameters by any few numbers also. No, nothing. I'll not take any risk at this point of time. Simple food which is easily digestible, because of the fact that, you know, when you consume more food or you consume food which may slow down your body parameters or the body functioning, doesn't help you, because you have to study and do all such other things. So food, health, all these things, and of course mood. You should always have a cheerful mood. Be happy. You have to remain happy, because now after doing everything, you have reached the D-Day. You have reached 10th of October, and on this day, again see here, I'm reiterating 3 things for you. Have high confidence, manage your stress, and the third thing is, of course, time. Now, see, you all know we have to maximize our marks. Now, I also know last year the cutoff was, for example, this year's cutoff we don't know, but then before that it was 98, 98, 105.34. I think the highest cutoff in one paper was 116 in 2016. So we also know if we are getting around 55% score, barring this year, most of the times we'll be able to clear the exam. But then, if you get some extra marks, you would be much more relaxed for preparations of your mains. Why I am saying so is because you don't want to remain on the border, that you should not always be perturbed that till the time prelims results are not announced, I may not know whether I have cleared the exam or whether I have not cleared the exam. So let's say if I am getting 125. If I am getting 125, I know I'll definitely clear the exam. So I can give my 100% for mains now. Anything plus 120 or even 115, because see, always there will be 2-3 questions which might be debatable and something like that. So anything 115, 120 plus is clear shot that you are going to write the mains, and you should definitely try to get those marks. Apart from this, stress handling. Whenever you feel any type of stress, do some exercises, take the deep breath, even in the examination hall, take deep breath, calm yourself. Lastly, time management. We have to maximize our answers, but all this thing has to be done in 2 hours. We are not going to get anything beyond this. So for this 2 hours, next 10 minutes, let me tell you the strategy. How do you go about solving your paper? What all things you do so that you know that on this day, definitely you are going to maximize your score. So, for example, see this. Number 1, you already know yourself. How do you know yourself? Because you have given so many tests in the last 1 year. You have given so many tests, you know what sort of marks have you been getting in the last few tests. You know how many attempts you keep on making. And you also know what is your accuracy in these tests. You know them. There is simply no doubt about that. You have known yourself or enough about yourself. So, when you are going in the examination hall, let's say if you are a person whose accuracy is not that great, you would definitely like to solve 85 or 90 questions because you know that you make mistakes here. I'll give you that idea that how many you should attempt at least. Number 2, of course, how do we go in the examination hall or when we are solving the question paper? See, when you get the question paper, the examiner, the first thing that they will say is that please check all the pages are there or not. So you first of all, let's say this is your 64-page booklet. You will check all the pages, whether all the pages are there or not. You are satisfied with them, and then on the front page you will write your roll number. So your roll number is now written and you have started going ahead with the question paper. You will start solving them. Now, usually in the first go only, when you were looking at this question paper, you would have seen maybe 1 or 2 questions, 5 questions in that only, which you knew you definitely know. So my first advice to you would be that for the first 10 minutes, have a sincere look at the whole paper. And in this 10 minutes, you will easily find that maybe 8 to 10 questions are those types of questions which are a sure shot. I definitely know the answer of those questions. So my suggestion here will be that in those questions, for example, let's say question number 1, 31, let's say 46, 79, 99, these are certain questions that you know, absolutely you know the answer of those. So let's say this is your, I would say your OMR sheet. So in front of those questions 1, 31, 46, let's say 79, 99, do go ahead and do this OMR thing or bubbling on the OMR. Why I am suggesting to you this is because I have seen many times students, what they do is that they keep on solving and they think OMR or the filling of OMR I am going to do at the last. And sometimes they don't properly manage their time. Suddenly they were solving the questions and now they get to know only 5 minutes or 7 minutes are left and I have to do the whole OMR. And by mistake, instead of 31, this bubbling was done on 30. And now all the questions have become wrong, or even not that, even if you made 2-3 mistakes and you got to know that, suddenly you are feeling very, very down at that point of time. So what I would suggest is that in the first 10 minutes, whatever questions you saw, mark those questions at the same point of time. Mark them. In the OMR sheet, you have marked them. Now, 10 minutes have passed. Let's go for the first 1 hour. That is, we have next 50 minutes. Start from question number 1. You start looking at each and every question here. Of course, 1 you have solved, so now you have come to 2. You know the question, you have studied that particular concept, slightly you need to think about that, and you thought it took around a minute of yours, maybe at times 1.5 minutes of yours, but you were able to say, okay, 2 is B. So, okay, 2 also we have marked. So, in the next 1 hour, that is next 50 minutes, we need to target 40 to 50 such type of questions which we can solve by doing some, I would say, investigation. Look into that question, you know the answer, you have studied them, you just have to maybe eliminate one or two options and you will be able to solve that question. So such types of questions, so let's say, see, and trust me, even the best, they would be knowing only 40-50 very correctly, and then they all do the other things, that is elimination and other techniques which I am going to tell you. So in the next 1 hour, you choose those questions about which you have studied, and slight amount of work in the examination hall will give you correct answers to those questions. So now what has happened? 1 hour has gone, and in the 1 hour, earlier we had done, let's say, 8 questions, and in the next 50 minutes 40 more questions have been done. So we have already done 48. Now the next 1 hour, this is divided into 2 parts. What has happened is, in the next 30 minutes, we start looking at those questions which we may have started to solve, but we were not sure about one option or the second option, and we had left it incomplete. For example, let's say question number 4. When I was solving the question number 4, I got 4 options. I was sure that out of A, B, C, D, B was wrong, and I also thought D was wrong. Now I have to think whether A is correct or B is correct. And just I am not able to remember one concept. Now I'll give some time here. Maybe 1.5 minutes per question. My target is, let's say, 20 questions or 25 questions in this. Some questions will be done quickly, some question may take 1.5 minutes. Now here in this 30 minutes, what I am going to target is around 25 such questions which I would have been solving, which I would have attempted, but I was not able to solve them completely. So here again we are trying to do 25 more. So now we have come to 73. And last half an hour, what do we do? As you can see, in the first hour, you have attempted all those questions which you knew. You have almost gone through all the questions. Now in the last hour, do not attempt if you don't know anything. This is the last thing, because at this moment we still have 30 minutes and, as you can see, some 27 questions. Let me think about them. Now here only I'll tell you one very important thing. See, let's say this is a student called or named XYZ, and he has attempted 73 questions. This student knows about himself or herself that his accuracy has always been enormous. That means even if he has attempted 73 questions, he knows maybe correct will be 64, incorrect would be 9, and thus this man is going to get 122 marks. Even if we bring it down, let's say out of 73, 61 correct, 12 incorrect, then also this man knows he is going to get 114 at this point of time. Very clearly he is close to clearing the prelims, because he knows himself that his accuracy is very good. So in the next 30 minutes he may target, let's say, 5-8 more questions maximum, and he is done for the day. But let's say, for example, let's say I am a student. I know myself that what happens with me every time is that usually it is like I solve 90 questions, and out of those 90 questions, let's say 66 are correct, 24 is wrong. So what happens? In this case I am getting 116, or even if 63 correct, 27 wrong, this way I am getting 108. I know my accuracy is not great. You can see almost 2.5 questions correct, 1 question is wrong, or 2.5 slightly less than that. So I know myself because I have given enough tests. So I need to maximize my score. So at this moment, if I have done only 73, I will attempt 15, 17 more questions so as to get close to that particular thing. Let's say there is a third student, and now this student has done, let's say, not even 73, only 60 questions. And this student basically knows about himself or herself that out of this 60, most probably he would have made 15 mistakes. So in this case, what is he getting, or she is getting around 80 marks. 45 correct, out of that 5 is deducted, so 80 marks. And he knows, she knows that, see, in 80 I'll never be able to clear the cutoff. So unfortunately, this particular student will have to mark a few more questions because the number of attempts are very, very less. And again, this student also knows himself or herself that, see, with this particular accuracy that he or she possesses, she will never be able to clear the cutoff here. So remember, on your D-Day, a lot of things depends based on how you have trained yourself or how you would have gone throughout this preparation stage. Many times, you know, you are a student with one, or I would say great confidence, or I would say great accuracy. So if that's the case, of course, you can stop wherever you want. See, all the types of students are there. There is no doubt about that. Now you have to decide which place you fall into. That is, which category of student you are. Are you having great, I would say, confidence in yourself that, see, my accuracy is good, I don't have to worry about that. Now, please remember, there is another paper also. I don't have to go in much depth as far as the CSAT is concerned, but then CSAT you need to get 1/3. Those who are slightly weak, I told you, you will have to study some concepts. Even during the break, you would have gone through some of the formulas so that you know what you have to go ahead, what you are lacking, and you have revised those portions. See, if I tell you, based on whatever we have discussed till now, till this point, there are 2-3 key takeaways. Number one, for the next 14 days, revise, revise, and revise. That's the first key takeaway. Number two, have confidence, have supreme confidence in your abilities. Nothing should shake your confidence. Trust in your abilities. You have the, I would say, the confidence. If you have the confidence, you can achieve anything. You need to have faith in yourself. That's big thing. You need to trust yourself and your abilities. I'm sorry. You need to have the trust in your abilities. There is no doubt about that. Now, just last thing that I would like to definitely tell you, that in the examination hall, there are few techniques that we can always employ. What are those techniques? Usually, if it's a twisted question, some twisted questions UPSC will give, there is no doubt about that. Sometimes there are intelligent guesses. There is no doubt about that. I had simply no idea about this question. Still, I gave the answer. For example, I gave you Tibhaga. Many people wouldn't have any idea about Tibhaga, but then looking at the options, looking at the way the options were created, they went ahead and gave the answer. So, intelligent guesses always, it helps, no doubt about that. And I hope you all are intelligent here. Number two, elimination method. See, trust me, this is one thing that will help you the most in the examination hall. Because as I said earlier also, even the best candidates, they don't know more than 40 to 45 questions. So what happens is, let's say again, this question was there and there were 4 points here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the options were A, B, C, D. Option A was 1 and 2, B was 2, 3, C was 1 and 3, and D was, let's say, 1 and 4. You knew 3 is wrong. You only know 3 is wrong. What has happened is this is wrong, this is wrong. The moment 2 options are eliminated, we also know 1 is correct. Now we have to only think about 4, even 2 we don't have to think about. So if you keep on eliminating your options, you will come to this situation. And I can tell you, had I been in the examination hall right now, that now my only 2 options, either A or D, I have to think about, I would definitely go ahead and mark it. Because I am in a position where 50-50. 50% I might be correct, 50% I might be incorrect, but then I'll take that chance. It depends on the student to student. I am a person who will take the chance in this scenario, because by elimination, even though I didn't know about many facts, I only knew about 3, but by elimination now I know I have already eliminated 2 also, and based on between 1 and 4, I know only 1 has to be correct. I'll take this chance. Similarly, many questions where the question is 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 1 and 2 are correct, all are incorrect. Such types of question, again what happens, even if you are able to eliminate one option that you know 1 is wrong, you know this cannot be answer, this cannot be the answer. So now only this B or D can be the answer. Such questions, if you are ready to take the risk, if you are one of those who take that risk and they are comfortable taking those risks, why not? Take them. Absolutely go ahead with them. Third, extreme wordings. Look at those words. For example, the word is all. There was one question in prelims on Dadabhai Naroji. The question was that Dadabhai Naroji decided that only after all the social evils are finished off, he will start working on something else. Something like this the statement was. You know, there will be some exception to all this. All, every, these extreme words, none. There must be some exception. For example, I remember there was one question in geography. The question was about the drainage system, and it was about the drainage system of Kerala. The question had asked that all the rivers in Kerala, they flow westward, that is towards the Arabian Sea. And the correct answer was no, 3 rivers in Kerala, they also flow towards the eastern side. So a lot of times you can see here these extreme wordings, if you are able to look at them, based on that also you can think. And I'll tell you, extreme wordings really help us in many questions of science and environment also. Even in agriculture, where many times we might not be knowing everything. Last, if at all, this is the last thing that I am saying, if at all you feel you have not done enough revision, or if you feel that based on the examination you have not made enough attempts, if you think that you have attempted too few questions, unfortunately you will have to make certain guesses. And in questions like science and all, a lot of times the option D becomes the right option. So this is extreme scenario. I am not suggesting it for everyone. I am only suggesting it for the people who might feel in the examination hall that they had not done everything, or they have attempted too few questions at this point of time. One thing I forgot to tell you during this entire preparation strategy session, that for the next 15 days you can easily leave the newspaper. This thing, because your question paper would have already been set, no need to study for the next 15 days the question papers. Trust on your things, that is the notes that you would have made, the things that you would have kept for the last few days revision, and just go ahead with that. Repeating again, as I told you, even after this lesson, after this lecture, if you feel that any of your questions have not been answered, if you want that there should be some more clarity about any other thing, please write in the comment box. We will reply to that. Last, I'll wrap up this session within a minute with only one thing. Trust me, follow this for the next 15 minutes, or 15 days rather. Don't stress, do your best, and forget the rest. Cheers. Remember, stress will not help you. This will only hurt you. Whatever you have done, be happy about that. Be extremely grateful about that. You have given your 100%. Don't stress yourself. Number 2, in the examination hall, even for the next 15 days, give your 100% best. And trust me, adopt these methods, it is going to help you. Lastly, don't think about few things which you might not have done or which is outside your control now. As I said, keep on visualizing good things. Think that after 2 months, you would have cleared the prelims. Whenever the prelims results are going to come out, you would be one candidate who has cleared the prelims. Think in the examination hall, you go in the examination hall and you get so many questions which you knew. And suddenly in the first 15 minutes only, maybe 20 questions you got correct. Make all the happy situations in your mind. And just don't worry. Absolutely, there is no reason to go and have stress at this point of time. Absolutely no reason. See, with this, we'll wrap up this session. Thank you for being with us for the last almost 3 weeks where we have done all these lectures. I hope and I sincerely think you would have benefited out of all these lectures, and even with this lecture you would have got a lot of benefit. Only message to you all from the entire BYJU'S IAS: all the best for your exams. Trust your ability. This is only one exam. I know this is a huge thing for you, but this is only one exam. You will clear it. That's all from this lecture. Thank you. Goodbye.